existence of NDC is on shaky grounds as ruling today from the Lokoja court raises fresh legal questions over the NDC's registration as a political party. And Peter Obi is asking for the postponement of the implementation of state police until after the 2027 general elections. Hello everyone, welcome to the program and thank you so much for joining me. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale, live for you here in our Abuja studio. Let's begin by letting you know the concerns of different political figures in the country about the state police debate and the passage in the National Assembly. The presidential candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, Mr. Peter Obi, has called for the implementation of the state police to be postponed until after the 2027 general elections. He's warning that the proposed security structure could be vulnerable to political manipulation if introduced without adequate safeguards. The Senate had passed a constitutional amendment bill seeking to establish state police across the country. In a statement today, Mr. Obi described the passage of the bill by the National Assembly as a significant milestone in Nigeria's search for solutions to insecurity, noting that many Nigerians had long advocated for decentralization of policing. He says Nigeria's size, diversity, and security realities make a highly centralized policing system increasingly difficult to sustain. Part of the statement by Mr. Obi reads, and I quote, "The greatest concern does not arise from logistical issues. It stems from history. There is a widespread justifiable fear that state police forces could become instruments in the hands of governors." He went further to say, the suspicion is that a state-controlled police force could be weaponized to suppress political rivals, disrupt opposition rallies, and manipulate elections. End of quote. And part of what concerns Mr. Peter Obi says that there are plans to stop him from the 2027 election, and these has to do with the threat, the legal threat on the political party upon which he is platforming himself for the presidential election in 2027. That's the NDC. We'll give you all of the details tonight on the program. But before we get into the details, let's serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
A federal high court in Port Harcourt has commenced sitting in a suit filed by a governorship aspirant under the Nigeria Democratic Congress (NDC) in Rivers State, Mr. Kings Unyawaji, against alleged irregularities in the party's governorship primaries. Mr. Kings, who said he was excluded from the governorship primary, is praying the courts to restrain NDC from presenting a candidate to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for the 2027 governorship election in Rivers State. He's also seeking an interim injunction restraining INEC from recognizing Dumo Lulu Briggs as the governorship candidate of the NDC. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) is raising serious concerns over what it describes as intimidation and threat to the lives of opposition political parties' candidates in Ebonyi State, and calls on security agencies to beam their searchlights on the state ahead of the 2027 general elections. The National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Mr. Mohammed Jungudo, raised the concerns at a press conference in Abuja while calling on party supporters in the state to be resolute. Meanwhile, the PDP governorship candidate for Ebonyi State has vowed to resist any form of intimidation and rigging, insisting that votes must count in the forthcoming governorship election. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) has petitioned the Inspector General of Police (IGP) seeking an investigation into Senator Samuel Anyanwu and Honorable Abdurrahman Mohammed over the alleged submission of false information to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) concerning the party's leadership. The petition, filed by Ogbeide Associates, solicitors to the PDP, centers on a letter dated November 3rd, 2025, which was addressed to INEC. According to the petition, the letter claims that the PDP National Working Committee (NWC) had suspended Ambassador Umar Iliya Damagun as acting national chairman and appointed Honorable Abdurrahman Mohammed as his replacement. The Rivers State House of Assembly has given speedy passage to the medium-term expenditure framework presented to them by Governor Siminalayi Fubara. During plenary today, the lawmakers voted to give speedy passage to the documents which will guide the state's economic direction from the period from 2026 to 2028. Addressing lawmakers, the Speaker, Martin Ameule, revealed that the state's fiscal projection of $1.8 trillion is based on an oil revenue generation assumption of $62 per barrel. He, however, noted that 6 months have passed and they are running behind schedule. An association of female politicians who are mainly of Ijaw extraction in the Niger Delta region are demanding for a more robust inclusion of women in the governance structure in the Niger Delta states. The demand for 35% women representation in elective and appointive positions across the states in the region is at the core of the conversations at the Ijaw Women 2026 Leadership Conference in Abuja. The conference also advocates the need for women in the region to get involved in politics.
There are more people who are opposing the implementation of the passage of the state police bill into law, part of which is different political parties, including the PRP. Peter Obi, the candidate of the NDC, will be hearing from the PRP tonight on that matter. But before we get into one of your breaking news earlier today, where a federal high court sitting in Lokoja has set aside its earlier judgment that compelled the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to register the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, as a political party. The ruling that the December 2025 decision was reached without a hearing all parties with a legal interest in the matter. For delivering the ruling today, Justice Issa Dashen held that the omission of the Peace Movement Party, which successfully applied to join the proceedings, breached the constitutional requirement for a fair hearing and rendered the earlier judgment null and void. The court also found that material facts had not been fully disclosed before the initial order was made, restored the status quo pending the determination of the substantive suit, and directed that the case begin afresh with INEC, the NDC, and the Peace Movement Party joined as parties. The latest ruling reopens the legal contest over the NDC's registration and places the matter back before the court for a fresh determination. This looks like a very big setback for the party. Let me allow you to listen to some of the lawyers who spoke after the ruling today.
The implication of the ruling is that whatever steps INEC had taken, in enforcement of the judgment of this court delivered on the 10th of December 2025, that has been reversed by the court itself this morning. So those things no longer hold sway. Now the court in the judgment of the 10th of December had ordered INEC to recognize Nigeria Democratic Congress as a political party and register it, issue a certificate of registration, and allow it to be contained on the ballot papers for the purpose of the election. So those were the fallouts of the judgment. The judgment having been reversed this morning, those steps taken by INEC to do so in recognition and issuance of certificates would also need to be reversed. The certificates will have to be retracted. The registration and recognition on INEC database will also have to be taken out. And wherever they appear on ballot in any election before this suit is now determined, they will now have to be removed. That's the effect.
All right. What does this mean? Does it mean like someone like Mr. Peter Obi no longer has a chance in the 2027 election? What does this also mean? It doesn't mean that NDC automatically cease to become a political party. What are the issues, the implications? But I know that the NDC has been speaking about these and held a press conference today. But let's speak with the National Secretary of the NDC, Mr. Ikena Kwizo, who is live for us here in our studio. It's a pleasure having you tonight again on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
This time around, there is an existential threat to your party. But with the ruling today, does your party still consider itself a legally recognized political party today in Nigeria?
Well, the ruling said the judgment earlier given by the court has been set aside. But the ruling, there was no part of that ruling where an order was made deregistering NDC. So as far as we are concerned, our party is still subsisting, has not been deregistered, and will continue to operate as NDC and will continue to operate as normal. For now, what we have done is to commence the process of appealing the judgment. As I talk to you, our team of lawyers at work trying to set aside what has been done today. But as I tell you, there are no issues about our candidates and their candidature in the elections. We believe that since no order was made deregistering the party, we are still a registered political party and continue to remain so until any direct judgment of any court would say so.
The rest here is identity.
Yeah.
Whether or not there is a clash. And interesting part is that there are those who also argue in this matter that your identity and logo looks like that of the broom of the APC. Another argument of that is that Peace Movement Party, which this is your logo, and like the producer to put up the logo of the NDC, that there is a clash, and whether or not the Peace Movement Party says he wants to be joined in that matter, and the court has thrown that matter back to status quo to say, go and start hearing this matter. It means that there is an existential problem because your identity is your party is your identity. The only way one can recognize the NDC on the ballot is by your identity, and that is a major issue. When you were filing this, and I know that you have gone, and the leader of your party had gone back and forth with INEC on this issue of identity. How come? Is it an oversight? Is it lack of a due diligence? How did you find yourself in this kind of messy situation?
All right, first and foremost, I want us to look at two perspectives of this matter. The first perspective is the issue of, because the judgment said Peace Movement Party ought to have been made a party to the proceedings in the first place. That cannot be true. We started the process of registering our political party as far back as 2017. At the time we started the process, our logo was an elephant. Somewhere along the line, we realized that there was another party that had the logo, elephant as its logo. We applied to INEC to change our logo.
You realized that there was an elephant in the room?
Yes, there was. So we applied to change our logo, and we introduced the logo of the victory sign. That was in 2024. No problems. Now, thereafter, in 2025, September to be precise, more than 1 year after we had successfully changed our logo, INEC wrote to us saying that they cannot continue our registration process on the sole reason being that, according to INEC's letter, our logo looked like that of the APC. We disagreed with INEC. We wrote to INEC and made two requests. First request, allow us, while we do not agree that the logo of the NDC looks like that of the APC, the logo of the APC is a broom held by a hand. Our logo is a victory sign. We should be allowed to at least change the logo so that our registration process should continue. INEC refused. Ultimately, we went to court. We went to court because INEC refused to register us on the grounds that our logo looked like that of the APC. We got to court. At the time we went to court, we didn't know about PMP. We didn't know about any other association that had a logo that looked like that of ours. We only knew that INEC had refused to register us because, according to them, which is false, our logo looked like that of the APC. So we took INEC to court. While in court, INEC filed a defense, and in their defense, for the first time, they raised the issue of PMP, saying that our logo looked like that of PMP. In our response to that statement, we said, first and foremost, there are 18 political parties as at that time registered in Nigeria, and none of them is PMP. None of them has any logo that looks like ours. Secondly, out of the 171 political associations that registered seeking registration, none of them is PMP. So there was no basis for you to say that our logo looked like that of any other political party when there was none, either that has applied for registration or that was registered as a political party in Nigeria, as at the time we were in consideration. During hearing, the judge asked INEC, PMP, is it a registered political party? INEC said no. Amongst the 171 associations that applied for registration, the PMP, one of them, the INEC said no. So why are you bringing up the issue of PMP at this point? It was not the reason you refused to register us, and it was not the reason we came to court. The court, in its well-considered judgment, overruled every argument of INEC, including the issue of PMP that had no basis at all, and registered us. Now, as a lawyer, you are also a lawyer, you know. First and foremost, there are only two grounds, basically in law, by which you can set aside a judgment. One is that the judgment in itself is a nullity ab initio. Secondly, that your judgment was obtained by fraud. None of this applies in this case. Secondly, when a party feels that its interest is affected by any judgment of any court, what it will do is to apply, after judgment has been given, is to apply to appeal against that judgment as an interested party. And legally speaking, every rules or procedure of courts, there are time limits for appeal and for you to apply to appeal as an interested party. As far back as December 10 last year, judgment was delivered in this matter. It was common knowledge in the whole country that a court judgment has been issued ordering that NDC be registered. From December 10 when that judgment was given till today. You can check when PMP purportedly filed their application. You don't set aside a judgment, a duly considered judgment that was given on its merits.
Finalized.
Finalized.
In that same court.
Enforced. The only defendant in that judgment was INEC. And INEC looked at the matter and decided that there was no basis for an appeal.
But look at what the court has said today. The court held that material facts were not disclosed during
What were the material facts?
What were the material facts?
That's the question you asked the court.
The question the court is asking is that the ruling specifically cited non-disclosure of material facts.
What are the material facts?
You should ask your facts.
No.
Because the court said if
the court had said the material facts were hidden, the court will state what the material facts are. First and foremost, we argued in court that the party that came to court, the Peace Mass Movement, is not a known registered body. It's not a political party. It's not a registered association known to law. They claim to have applied for registration with INEC in 2015. And that INEC refused to register them in 2015, 9 years ago, and they went to sleep.
Do you suspect any foul play here?
Of course, every Nigerian knows that there's a foul play. Recently shown, a court in Nigeria ordered some parties to be deregistered. We are still talking about that. Another court that has given a final judgment that is subject only to an appeal is now turning around to give you a ruling. You are setting aside a judgment that is not a nullity, that was not obtained by fraud, by virtue of a ruling for an order to set aside.
But can the court by itself set aside its own ruling?
I don't want to say it's kindergarten law, that a court cannot do that. Everybody knows that a court cannot do that. The question is, why will a court, particularly a judge of that age at the bench,
procedurally,
to even hear the matter?
Procedurally, which court has the power to revert itself?
At this stage, and
I'm just asking you, for the knowledge
every
of
judge, every court has the right to set aside its own judgment on two conditions only.
If they found out?
One, if they found out that if the court had no jurisdiction in the first place to give the judgment, where the judgment is said to be a nullity. In that case, the court can, on proper application, set aside this judgment. The other cases where the judgment was obtained by fraud, then the party applied.
Hiding material facts is not part of the principle that will allow a court to...
And then even at that, it is only the defendant in the matter that can bring an application to set aside. In a situation where material fact was hidden, the party must first of all apply for leave to appeal, not to set aside. The procedure does not provide for anybody can jump out from anywhere and come.
Did your legal team underestimate the implications of this? Because the fundamental issue that INEC was presenting to the court was that you cannot register your party because of identity clash. And if the court now says, go back to the very beginning of this argument, does that mean one thing? When INEC said, I cannot register, and the court said, let's begin this trial.
In the substantive proceedings, admitted first and foremost that our logo did not resemble that of APC. That was the first thing they admitted to. Then secondly,
that's in the trial.
In the trial, they admitted. In fact, they didn't raise it. The moment we filed our suit, they didn't mention INEC logo anymore. All they talk, they didn't mention APC logo anymore because they admitted during the proceedings that actually, in fact and in truth, our logo, the logo of the NDC, which is a two-finger victory sign, did not in any way resemble that of the APC. They now introduced the issue of Peace Mass Movement and admitted further that Peace Mass Movement is not a registered political party. It's not one of the 171 political associations that applied for registration. So there was no basis.
So fundamentally, what the court has said is that go back to the beginning of this matter.
The court had no right to do so.
I'm telling,
as a matter of fact,
just a moment, I'm trying to break it down for our viewers to understand, so that we know what the implications are. The court simply said, go back and start this matter all over again. That's right.
Sean, you're a lawyer.
Yeah.
First and foremost, no judge has the right or the power to rehear a case it has had to conclusion. The principle of law is that at that point, the judge is functus officio. It has no right anymore to reopen the matter. In the first, I think it's very wrong for the judge to even have agreed to hear the matter from the very beginning. Because the moment the application was made, the judge ought to have known that not having the power to reopen the case, it cannot take any application on it. The only option that was open to PMP is that they could have applied to appeal that judgment, as an interested party.
So, but let's look at it. Political associations are regulated by INEC. And in that sense, there are those who will argue that your party should have just gone ahead and meet the requirement as being stated by INEC. Go and amend your logo because there is a look-alike, there is a clash of identity. And there are those who will now say, why is NDC wanting to use the court to bypass INEC registration process, attempting to achieve through the court what it could not obtain administratively?
Brother, let me tell you something. I'll ask you one question. 171 political associations applied for registration. Only one was registered. Do you actually believe that the rest 170 associations did not meet the threshold of the requirements of law? The truth is that that particular INEC had made up its mind not to register anybody. Our process started since 2017. We had met all everything, everybody that. In fact, INEC in the proceedings in substantive trial admitted before the court that we had met all the requirements for registration. What you're saying is what some third parties who were not there, who do not know the facts of our case, have been saying in public, and we have tried severally to say this is not true. We didn't go to court because we are not qualified. But if we were not qualified, the court would not have registered us or ordered our registration. We went to court because we had met every condition for registration. But INEC whimsically decided they would not register us on the flimsy and excuse that our logo resembled that of APC. And you and I know.
Mr. Morgan,
yes.
Is this a setback for your party?
Naturally, it could be considered a setback. But the truth of the matter is that, like I said, we are continuing with our activities. We are put together a team to appeal against it, and we are confident that nothing would happen to our party.
What if the fresh hearing now goes against you?
We're not going to go through a fresh hearing.
That's what the court has said.
That's what the court says. See, elementary law shows that the court had no right in the first place to make that order. The court had no right even in the first place to hear that application. So how can you cannot place anything on nothing and expect it to stand?
Your presidential candidate is of the opinion that this is in part about him, and that there is an effort to ensure that he's not on the ballot. Do you think so?
Every Nigerian that is old enough to understand things know that there are people who do not want the democratic space to be expanded so there can be a proper contestation for positions in the next general election. Every Nigerian knows that what is happening in the political space today is predetermined by certain persons that do not want proper contests. You don't need anybody to tell you that. Peter Gregory Obi is our presidential candidate. It's the choice of a gross majority of Nigerian people to assume the mantle of leadership of this country come 2027. And some persons who know they do not stand a chance against him in the elections do not want him to be on the ballot. That's what this is all about, and that's the reality.
And you don't think this could happen in 2027?
It will not happen. I can assure you that it will not happen.
But is the NDC ready for a long legal battle? And this is my fear, considering legal timelines in this country. It does look like you're running against time.
We have 6 months or thereabout to the next general elections in January and February next year. So, see, let me tell you something. There's a funny thing about this matter. We were scheduled to pick up our codes to start uploading our candidates today. In fact, we were at INEC yesterday. We were supposed to be at INEC today to pick up the codes. And then at the middle of the day today, this ruling just comes up. I think it was designed and timed to stop us from picking up those codes. But I can assure you that we'll pick them up. We'll pick them up, we'll upload our candidates, we'll participate in the elections, and I can tell you now, and I can also tell our supporters, our members, and our candidates, they have nothing to fear. All our candidates will be on the ballot come 2027. And we'll win the elections, because Nigerians are fed up with what is going on in this country today. We are fed up with the hunger, the insecurity, the failures of government, the heartlessness of the government that is ruining this country today, not ruling this country. And all their efforts to ensure that credible candidates like the candidates we have as our candidates contesting the election because they are of their fear of a defeat. And it will happen. It will come to them.
The motion on notice when the PNP joined in this matter, was it started on the NDC?
Yes, it was. The PNP did not join. The right thing for them to have done, like I said, repeatedly, if a party felt that a judgment affected it and it needs to appeal, not set aside the judgment, because it cannot set it aside, legally speaking. I'm old enough as a lawyer to know that you cannot set it aside. What it could have done is to bring an application before the same court that gave the judgment, seeking leave to appeal as an interested party. Normally, they would need to file their own notice of appeal and grants of appeal, showing that they have a substantial case to argue at the Court of Appeal. And the court can decide to grant them leave or not. That's the only application a judge who has given judgment the matter can hear.
I know that just before now, you were at your party's press conference, and the national chairman of your party was speaking there. And these are some of the images coming from that press conference earlier today in Abuja. Let me allow you to have listen to some of what was said at that press conference. Take a listen.
There was no order directing our deregistration. However, we are dissatisfied with the decision that has been made, and we have instructed our team of lawyers to immediately proceed to the Court of Appeal to challenge the jurisdiction and propriety of His Lordship's order. We assure the general public, and particularly our candidates at all levels, that our party is on course. The NDC has not been deregistered. And we are challenging today's order at the Court of Appeal as soon as possible. We have no doubt that justice will be done.
As the national chairman of the NDC earlier today, finally speaking, this is somewhat a setback, and a lot of people will think, if we vote NDC, this is it's going to be a wasted vote. Don't you think that the lethargy can come into the heart of your supporters?
You see, what they are trying to do will backfire against them.
What is it? Who are they?
We all know who they are. I don't need to mention their names.
No, I don't know. I'm asking.
No, I'm saying that we don't
and
mention
there are probably those
what I'm saying
who don't know.
Who
are they you are
They are trying to make us more popular, more acceptable, because Nigerians will naturally rise up against tyranny. They'll naturally rise up against what the government of the day is trying to do. It's unfortunate that the judiciary is lending itself to this kind of absurdity. It's very unfortunate. But I tell you that Nigerians who are peace-loving, but Nigerians hate tyranny in all its forms. And what is going on today is not in the best interest of our democracy. It's not in the best interest of this country. And I'm sure even the international community will be looking at what is going on and they will be shaking their heads in disbelief. I call upon all Nigerians who have any modicum of, should I say, good faith in this country to rise up and say no to what is going on. It's not, if it's NDC, it was ADC and other parties yesterday. NDC came out to say, no, it is wrong. You cannot order parties to be deregistered. Today, they are carrying the battle to NDC because they know that as of today, NDC is the actual, real opposition party in this country. And they want to stop us. They cannot.
Ikena Enekwezo is the National Secretary of the NDC. Many thanks, Mr. Morgan, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Still ahead on the program, the People's Redemption Party, PRP, says the Tinubu administration cannot be trusted with one of the most significant security reforms in Nigeria's history. Is that a legitimate concern or an attempt to politicize a critical national security issue? We'll put the questions to PRP National Chairman, Hakim Baba Ahmed. After the break, everyone, stay with us.
My name is Austin Azoko Kocha, but you all call me JJ. That's because I was so unstoppable, they named me twice. Those days, there were times when it was difficult for me to perform. But you know what? I never stayed down. I remained unstoppable. No one could stop me, not even malaria when mosquito bites. Now you too can be unstoppable if you use Lonart against malaria.
Now available in a new design. Same Lonart, same unstoppable dew.
No worries, you said go make am. Mogo Bible.
Victor, even you, they use money point?
Of course now, they use money point.
Confirm.
Money point, made for your progress.
For years, we believed that world class meant far away. In healthcare, precision is everything. But the distance between you and exceptional care has just disappeared. We don't just practice medicine, we are driven by high standards. At Duchess International Hospital, we've brought the world's most advanced technology and global expertise right to the heart of Lagos, where cutting-edge technology meets the warmth of Nigerian hospitality. Recover in our warm, hospitable wards and dedicated physio units designed for your comfort and recovery. For VIP patients, our exclusive royal suites offer comfort and privacy. From complex cardiac procedures to premium wellness checks. No visas, no long flights, just family by your side. Exceptional healthcare isn't only across the ocean anymore. It's here. Duchess International Hospital. World-class care here at home. Experience the new standard.
Wake up in the morning feeling brand new. Sunshine on the rhythm, I'm calling on you. No dry skin allowed in the party tonight. Just smooth vibrations, we're feeling alright. Viva, glow baby, glow. Viva, let the moisture flow from your head to your toes, see the magic show. Viva lotion, the rhythm of your skin. Oh, Viva, glow baby, glow. Viva, let the moisture flow from your head to your toes, see the magic show.
Malaria is gone. No more cold and pain. What is wrong with my husband?
Ma, he was very sick in the office. This is a lab result.
God will bounce you back again. Get Luta. Get Luta. Thank you, Luta. With Luta, malaria is in big trouble.
Luta contains artemether and lumefantrine, and it is used to treat malaria.
Luta is another quality product from Hovid and marketed by Pharmatex Nigeria Limited.
If it is valuable, you protect it. Your money, your home, your reputation. In the same way, your personal information is valuable. When not protected, it can be misused, leading to fraud, identity theft, and lasting harm. If you experience a data privacy breach or misuse of your personal information, report immediately to the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, NDPC, via info@ndpc.gov.ng. Every organization that collects and processes data are known as data controllers and data processors and required to comply with the provisions of the Nigeria Data Protection Act 2023, which include registration and renewal with the NDPC. Kindly note that the NDP Act compliance audit for year 2025 is ongoing. Ensure compliance to avoid sanctions, fines, and operational disruptions. Visit services.ndpc.gov.ng. This announcement is from the NDPC, Nigeria Data Protection Commission, championing privacy rights.
The debate over the proposed establishment of state police has intensified after the opposition People's Redemption Party, PRP, rejected the initiative, arguing that the administration of President Bola Tinubu lacks the credibility and public trust to undertake such a far-reaching constitutional reform. In a statement signed by the party's national chairman, Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed, the party acknowledged the urgent need to overhaul Nigeria's security architecture, but says that the government's record on tackling insecurity undermines its moral authority to restructure the country's policing system. The PRP has urged the federal government to focus on restoring security and public confidence before pursuing constitutional changes, while describing the move to create state police as suspicious. The criticism comes just days after President Tinubu transmitted the constitutional amendment bill to the Senate, where lawmakers have already approved the proposal, setting the stage for what is expected to be a vigorous national debate over the future of policing and security governance in Nigeria. A lot of people say that was Sadana's party. PRP is a party, and the national chairman, Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed, is live for us here in our studio. It's a pleasure having you to join us tonight.
Thank you very much, Shehu. Thank you for the invitation.
I hope your party is safe from any possible deregistration hurdle.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. That is not a lame question to ask. That is the truth. I don't think any party in the opposition sleeps with both eyes.
Even your party?
Every party, except APC.
Everybody's scared?
Well, look, it's very unnerving. What just happened in the courts today regarding NDC. And I watched the interview you had, the program you had now with their spokesman. He made a very good case of the background of this case. Any party that tells you that they feel absolutely comfortable, then they are not serious about being a political party in this country.
You think PRP can be deregistered and Sadana will sleep easy in the grave?
No, it's not Sadana. Actually, we were a thorn in the flesh of Sadana. We weren't his party. We opposed him. And in fact, Sadona gave our party the room to be relevant during those days when he was there. It was Aminu Kano that was our
Aminu Kano, sorry.
Yes, yeah. And we are very proud of those days. It was very difficult being a NEPU/PRP supporter. And we've come through everything. And we believe that we will go through this difficult time.
I mean, so is this an opposition agenda to oppose state police? Because Mr. Peter Obi has said it, ADC has said it, you came out yesterday, and when I saw it, soon I called you and said, what do you mean by that? Everybody seems to be clamoring for state police. Here it is. It's going to happen. But it does look like there's a political angle to it, that if it happens before the election, there is a danger that state governors having that kind of power can manipulate it and use it to manipulate the election. Is that your greatest fear?
Yes, but it's not necessarily an opposition thing. It's a Nigerian thing. Nigerians have no faith in the sincerity of this administration. They have very little trust that this administration is sincere about dealing with security or insecurity. When you combine these two things, you see a combination of the absence of legitimacy, and you see and the absence of confidence. We do need to restructure this country, not just police. Our party, the PRP, has committed to restructuring this country, and we say so openly. We want to go beyond just short-term advantages like this administration is seeking. Generally, we want to put Nigeria on the table.
A holistic restructuring.
For everybody. Yes.
You don't think that this is some kind of restructuring too?
It is part of the restructuring process, but you see, when you restructure a country, you first ask what's wrong with the country. Why is it not working? What is not working? Nigeria is not working for any group of people, any interest from whether it's ethnic, regional, geographical, ideological, anything, faith. It's not working. And we took the gamble to say to Nigerians, if you give us the power to run this country in 2027, we will restructure Nigeria. Not just because we want Nigerians to say, that's a party that wants to be restructured, but because we genuinely believe Nigeria needs to be restructured and should be restructured. And there can be something out of it for everybody. And restructuring the country to address issues of insecurity is a fundamental foundation for this. You need to restructure Nigeria, but not with this kind of opportunistic piecemeal approach. President Tinubu has been in power for 3 years, for goodness sake.
So, do we need state police?
Well, we need to address policing as an institution. That's the first thing. It definitely has failed. Policing, any society, any nation, is a vital instrument of governance. Our policing Nigeria has failed so badly that...
So we needed a restructuring and reform in the policing system.
Yes, well, the name you give it is it depends on, it's not so important. The issue is that for the last 5, 6, 8 years, a key period in that was the NSAS thing. It showed you clearly, policing as a vital instrument of governance has collapsed. The military, the fact that the military is so much stretched is largely because the military is doing the police work, the work of the police. There are 100 good reasons why you need to revisit police in Nigeria. But there are also 100 good reasons to say don't do it now. Certainly not by the APC administration.
But when you say don't do it now, the risk is that more people will die. If you don't implement it, this government said is a silver bullet. Once they implement it, immediate action will be seen and results will start coming up.
Yes.
So you saying don't implement it now, you are saying, invariably saying, let people continue to die.
No, but that is, you are exaggerating. Your summation exaggerates what they want to do. There are a lot of things they can do between now and March 2027. A huge amount. He's still the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The police, federal police is still there. The military is still there. The intelligence cycle communities are there. There are 101 things he can do, he hasn't done, and he has no intention to do. So what they are trying to do is to pick one issue, put it on the table, not necessarily to improve
policing. So this is not priority as far as the security architecture, the reforms, and tackling insecurity is concerned?
No, it's not a priority if it is going to play into the hands of an administration that may use it for political reasons.
You don't think that the opposition is playing the ostrich here?
No, not at all. The opposition is saying to the government and to Nigerians, watch what is going on. They're creating the impression that they are solving a major security problem, but actually they want to achieve a political end. And we don't want this.
So this is not a security measure, it's a political measure?
No, absolutely.
That's what you see it as?
It's a political measure, and it speaks largely to what is going to happen in the elections of 2027.
When the PRP described the government's plan as suspicious, do you have evidence? Are you relying on evidence or just political distrust? Can you identify specific provisions in this bill that could facilitate an abuse?
Let me remind you, President Tinubu's administration has been in power for more than 3 years. The issue of our state police has been on the table for longer than Tinubu's government. If it's such a crucial element for improving our security, you would think a serious government, a serious president would have said, let's do state police. It's been there all along. People have said, address the issue of policing. The military has no business doing 99% of the work.
The best time is now to do.
The best time is not now. In fact, this is the worst possible time. This doesn't say, and this is important, you've asked this question, let me repeat again. There are still 101 things President Tinubu can do with what he has on the ground to improve our security, to bring an end to all this stealing of human beings and killing of human beings. There is still a military, there is still police. He can improve policing. He can improve the performance of the military. He can address many, many things. No, that's not what he's doing. He's giving policemen. He's creating policemen and giving them to states. And then he thinks that is the solution to the problem. So you have to ask yourself, well, what is your contribution, sir? You have the federal police that has failed to do any work. So what you're doing is say, governors, create your own police. Go and do what you want to do with them. You're compounding the problem that we have.
I mean, why are you making Bola Tinubu and the APC look desperate? You're making it look like they wanted to win this election by all means.
They are making themselves look desperate.
Because if, for example, Nigeria continues to face issues of banditry, kidnapping, communal violence, and despite centrally controlled police structure, these problems continue. And there are those who say the federal policing model has struggled for decades. Why should Nigerians reject now an alternative that many security experts have argued that would bring policing closer to communities? And they say it's probably our silver bullet, our solution to insecurity.
Well, first of all, it's not. If it is crafted by this administration at this time of the election cycle, an administration that has had very little credibility in terms of doing what is right at the right time and doing it with the will and the clout to do this, then it can't be the solution to the problem. It can only be compounding the problem. But secondly, the issue is that Nigerians agree over the need to have revisit our entire security structure. And there are many good ideas on the table, but you don't do this when you're already short of credibility and support of the people. If the government says under them, and I'm almost sure they will, well, Nigerians, we hear your opinion, but we're still going to go ahead and do it, which is very likely. They will do it with 32 governors, the National Assembly entirely in their pockets, 32 state assemblies in their pocket. They will do it. I'm sorry to say that I don't think that it's not the intention, and it's certainly not going to deliver the effect.
Do it, you are damned. Don't do it, you are damned.
No.
The same. That is what it looks the opposition is making the Tinubu government
No, Shehu, don't do it, you're not damned. Don't do it means you are listening to Nigerians who are saying, we are not the people. Look, our statement said, if Tinubu's administration genuinely believes that introducing state police is genuine, then let the elections validate that faith. Go to the elections, get Nigerians to vote you back. Then come back, sir, and do your state policing. That's our statement said so. Because it's a legitimate thing.
We're not questioning his legality. What would you have done differently?
If I was in power,
people were being killed and you thought that you needed a reform, so you would have waited.
No. If we were in power, we would have done this 2-3 years ago. I'm telling you. Tinubu came to power when President Buhari left this country in a terrible shape. Tinubu came to power. He had 3 years to look at the policing system as part of the security structure. He did nothing. Absolutely nothing. It got worse. More Nigerians are dying by the day now than President Buhari left it. Why should Nigerians believe that suddenly President Tinubu has found a silver bullet? That he wants state police, not to improve their own federal police. Nothing to do with the federal police. He's not touching, he's not giving them a couple more, he's not recruiting them any more policemen, he's not funding them better, he's not improving their morale better, he's not improving their efficiency by any, he's just creating state police. He's going to give his governors their own police so they can do what they want to do with them. That is not helping security.
Let me ask you, sir, Dr. Ahmed, you were a political advisor to this government. And I assume that, as an academic, you would have done your SWOT analysis for you to be able to advise this government properly politically speaking. And as a prominent voice from northern Nigeria, you probably would have done your prognosis about the issues, the problems. The 2027 elections would have been inside of any political advisor to say, what are we doing right policy, and what are the political minds ahead that we need to jump to be able to be successful. What was the biggest weakness of this government, politically speaking, that you identified?
They never did SWOT analysis for anything. You don't embark on policies without SWOT analysis. And I'm very happy you brought this up. The very day President Tinubu was sworn in fact, by his own admission, the issue about removing the subsidy thing was not even in his speech. No, you don't undertake a policy measure of this magnitude without putting through the most basic elements about SWOT. He said the subsidy is gone. And Nigerians went, what does that mean? Months later, we realized what he meant is that life is going to be a lot more difficult. Okay, fine. If we have to pay a price for it, what is it? That's why you do SWOT analysis. You look at strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats. He didn't do that.
Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed left this government, identified the sore points, the weaknesses of this government, and you're planning to use it against it by leading an opposition against this government. What was it that you have now discovered? Because I understand now that you are joining forces and you are making plans to ensure that this government is removed out of power. What is it that you think that...
You mean voted out of power?
Well, if that, I mean, you remove a government by voting them out of power.
Okay.
If that's the case. But I'm not sure you're planning a military coup anyway. But in the real sense of it, what was your agenda?
When I was with them or now?
No, because you have realized you took a trade secret out of that government and you're not going to use it against them.
No. There was no trade secret at all. If you learned anything about if I learned anything about the Tinubu administration, was how you can destroy a historic opportunity. The president came to power with fairly good credentials. He was a thoroughbred politician. He appears to have done well when he was governor of Lagos. He had been part of a lot of what had happened since 1999, and maybe even before then. You would think a man who is so ambitious, who says, it's my turn, had the guts to say, hey, Nigerians, 250 million of you, all move aside, it's my turn. You would think he would come to power and actually tackle some of the most fundamental problems of this country. Insecurity, cost of living, corruption. He did none of those things. Now we hear Nigeria is making so much money we don't even know what to do with it. And yet, poverty levels are rising, insecurity is rising, corruption is rising. Now, how do you rate President Tinubu other than the fact that the man has just simply failed to deliver anything other than a personal ambition?
But there are some political indices that has disputed your claim.
Like what?
They have had 31 governors join now in the party.
That's not an achievement.
But I'm saying there are political indices
to
that effect.
Yeah, but like what?
Yeah. So
don't count their governors.
It's a political. If you have a governor today, is he a plus or minus for your party?
No, that means that is not a political.
It's a political index.
If you are saying, okay, I didn't understand you. Yeah. If you want to say that he's got a room full of governors, and that is an indication of his ability to attract people who want to win elections, that's not necessarily a good thing. It says absolutely nothing about competence, about the capacity of the government, about the integrity of the government. It just simply says that he has opened his door and says, anybody who wants to continue to be governor, the governor or senator or member of the House, come into APC. If you have an issue that you don't want to be raised, come into APC. If you're worried about being maybe hauled before a judge, you've done some terrible things, come in here, we will look after you.
Well, again, part of the political index that I'm talking about is the fact that for the last 3 or so election, when opposition has stood up against this party, APC and Bola Tinubu, they've been winning election. FCT swept it.
Yeah.
Ekiti election, they've won it. Yeah. By-election, they won largely all the by-elections. And these are indications that going into the 2027, it does look at the APC is being underestimated, yet is performing and beating the opposition.
Yes, but you also haven't looked at the other side. The other side is not just that parties are contesting elections as parties. The opposition has only undergone tremendous assault through a combination of what the APC and the judiciary and everybody else is doing to them. This is not the same opposition. Just today or yesterday, whether it is the truth or not, and I'll be fair to APC, but they deserve this kind of stigma. People think it is behind every single ill that befalls political parties in this country. Nigerians believe that APC is being used, is using the judiciary, is using INEC, is using everybody. And you have to ask yourself a question. How did this party, this APC, come to deserve such ignominy? You have to ask yourself.
Despite all of this, they still think that they will win massively. Landslide, yes. Moonslide.
Yes.
That's the APC thing.
APC has won gold in terms of self-delusion. They don't believe. Let me tell you.
Is there anyone on this ballot that can defeat the APC?
Yes, we can.
Donald Duke.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I think the Nigerians, people say this like Donald Duke. Don't be surprised at how desperate Nigerians are for good leadership. A Nigerian who can actually lead without necessarily stealing or allow money to be stolen. A Nigerian who can actually think outside the box. What can we do about insecurity? What can we do about young people who have no hope in this country? What can we do about the hate we have for each other? Well. And Nigerians genuinely want this. APC doesn't bother to ask what they're doing right or wrong. They think that winning elections, bringing out huge amounts of money. What happened in Ekiti? We've asked a lot of the people who went to vote there. This open display of money, giving people money for votes. This is not how you run a country.
Dr. Akin Baba Ahmed is the national chairman of the PRP. Many thanks for coming tonight. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you very much.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Akimale. God bless Nigeria.